As everyone will observe, they are under extremely difficult circumstances. So, as I've just explained, police operations could not be determined by someone like myself, who is outside the police, especially when policemen have to make on-the-spot judgment of what will be in the best interest and the safety of people around during that particular situation. The police have their code of practice to follow. The police have very rigid and stringent guidelines in the use of appropriate force, and that requires the lowest level of force in dealing with those situations. And I believe...
What is your responsibility? You're talking about the responsibility of the police and the people of Hong Kong. What is your responsibility?
Sir, please do not interrupt. Please answer.
Situation.
Can I continue to answer that?
Please.
Okay, I move on. Sorry, it was not my choice to concentrate on the police, but all the questions now have been focusing on the police, despite a 3-hour press conference yesterday. Let me briefly give a very solemn and serious response to that question about the Chief Executive's responsibility. The Chief Executive's responsibility is to ensure that Hong Kong remains a safe and orderly and law-abiding city. That is my utmost responsibility. Because without the rule of law, without law and order in Hong Kong, it is extremely difficult to ensure that 7 million people in Hong Kong could continue to live in a peaceful manner. So that is my utmost responsibility. And that also requires my support for all the law enforcement agencies in accordance with their policies, their rules, their guidelines. That also means that my responsibility goes beyond this particular range of protests. I have said, after the violence has been stopped and the chaotic situation that now we are seeing could subside, I wouldn't say it will be eradicated totally. I, as a chief executive, will be responsible to rebuild Hong Kong's economy, to engage as widely as possible, to listen as attentively as possible to my people's grievances, and try to help Hong Kong to move on. That is my very serious political commitment and responsibility to the people of Hong Kong at this point in time.
Mrs. Lam, Reuters, you say that it's your utmost responsibility to restore order to Hong Kong. Is it not also your utmost responsibility as Hong Kong's leader to listen to the public? All of us here in this room, all the reporters, we've been out on the streets. We've spoken to protesters over the past couple of months. They have made their demands very clear. Now, I would like to ask you, in terms of withdrawing the bill, using this specific term which the protesters have called for, do you, as Hong Kong's leader, have the autonomy to decide to withdraw the bill? Yes or no? Or is this something that Beijing has to approve as well? In other words, have your hands been tied by Beijing in not allowing the bill to be withdrawn? Or is this a point of political pride on your part in not doing this and refusing to meet this demand of the protesters?
Well, actually,
this
question has been answered on previous occasions.
But you've evaded the question
Number one,
on numerous occasions.
As we have all heard from the spokesman of the Hong Kong and Macau Affairs Office, the central government is still confident that I myself, as the government of the Hong Kong SAR, together with the police force, that we are still capable of resolving this crisis.
Do you have the autonomy or not to withdraw the extradition bill, please?
The second point I want to make.
Could you answer that specific question?
In response to the various demands that we have heard, we have considered all factors. and came up with a response that we have rehearsed time and again over the last 2 months. Thank you very
Do
much.
you have the autonomy or not to withdraw the extradition
She has
bill?
answered your question, please.
You have not answered the question. You've evaded the question. Please, Chief
最後一條問
Executive.
題係咪？
林太，其實你可唔可以首先答翻頭
Do
先
you
咧？你
have
冇
the autonomy to withdraw the bill or not, or does Beijing need to give
I have
approval on
already
that?
answered the question.
林太，其實你可唔可以答翻之前咧？
So that was the chief executive of Hong Kong answering some questions in a press conference in relation to the Hong Kong protests. A girl lost her eye in the protest, and the chief executive is having to explain the Hong Kong police's use of power and exactly what's happened there. That last question from Reuters about whether she has basically the right to withdraw the extradition bill, which is what's caused all these protests, she couldn't answer or refused to answer. And her body language, the swallowing of saliva, the rapid blinking, the looking down, all says that she doesn't have autonomy to withdraw the bill. Her hands are tied by Beijing. And obviously you heard her mention there that they are still capable of managing the situation. Although a girl has lost her eye, the Hong Kong airport is shut down and the protests have been going on for 11 weeks now. As I say, I think Beijing is going to get involved very soon. And I feel like the shutting down of the Hong Kong airport would only benefit Beijing in terms of sending in their military, because it means no more foreign nationals are entering Hong Kong. And it may be that we start hearing from the different foreign embassies that the citizens should leave and, return to their original countries, such as return to the United States, return to the UK, return to France. I'm looking out for that kind of warning coming from the foreign embassies around the world in relation to Hong Kong and these protests. Obviously, I think it's something that China would have to warn is about to happen. Obviously, for the obvious reason of collateral damage and the possibility of foreign nationals being injured if China does send in the military. So I thought I'd bring that all to you very quickly. So you guys have a good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and may the Heavenly Father bless you.